December 31st, 2024. The city offers healthcare coverage to its employees that include medical and dental products, and our plan year runs from January 1st to December 31st. Over the last few years, we've talked about different healthcare models. We have been fully insured, and this is our first opportunity to go self-funded. So I'd like to introduce you to our broker, Mark Browder, and he will go over what the plan is going to be for 2024, and then I'll close out with a recommendation.
Thank you.
Mark? Oh, you're right there.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Been in front of you many times, and I enjoy working with you all and your staff. They're great to work with. Just as a brief overview, for the past 5 years or so, the plan has, in general, been staying in the mid-single-digit trend for cost allocation, which is below both North Carolina and national trend. There's been some heavy negotiation to keep the numbers where they are at with Cigna. Each year we've looked at a different funding strategy, self-funding, and it really never materialized as an opportunity. However, staff has been preparing for that time. We'll talk about the reasons why self-funding makes sense this year and is a good strategy for an organization your size. We track the claims, and I know this is a lot of numbers on this. We'll get to the slide that means the most in this, but we're tracking claims throughout the year, looking at how the plan is running versus how the revenues are coming in. And again, claims always drive your cost, whether you're transferring the risk to an insurer like Cigna, or whether you're retaining a good portion of the risk when you're self-funded. I circled around that 100.72% number, and what that means is that claims basically only went up about 1% for the plan year 22. And what's slowly been happening is the plan has been relatively stable, but from a funding standpoint, you've actually been taking advantage of Cigna. They've been, which is not a concern of the city. It's a good thing, where they have been subsidizing the city based on the premiums that they're charging and what you're remitting. So the plan ran in the negative because it ran at 79%, or 97%. But it did trend favorably, and that carried on into the current year. We'll talk about that. In the negotiation for the 23 plan year, the original renewal was about a 19% increase. We got that down to 6%. It saved the city and the plan about $2.2 million. Generally speaking, and these are individual high claimants, it's de-identified, so we don't know who they are, but oncology cancer is a significant driver. You had about 6 claimants that went over $400,000 each, with the largest ones being primarily cancer and oncology. For the current year, the plan again is trending flat. It's running slightly better because there was a 6% increase in funding this year. And for the first time since we've been working with you, there's a good opportunity to change funding for a better long-term strategy. We do our own renewal analysis. You'll see in the middle, there's a fully insured calculation looking at the last 12 months of claims. The renewal formula indicated that funding increase on a fully insured basis should be about 12.5%. But this year, the self-funded renewal came in right on top of where the fully insured actually came in at about 6%. And we'll talk about the reasons why self-funding really works for you. Funding for a health plan, again, you've transferred the risk today. The reasons why making a transition to self-funding really makes sense is there's additional revenue sources, and a group your size has a much more stable predictability than a smaller group. And the components of self-funding include, you can continue to use Cigna as the plan administrator. So from the employee's perspective, there's no disruption in physician network, no disruption on the formulary. So things can remain the same. So for the employees, it's a very non-event for them. You hire Cigna to pay the claims as you design the benefits. You also hire an insurer to take the risk for high claimants. So in this case, it would be claimants above $200,000. You're paying a premium for it. And if you have that $400,000 or $500,000 claimant, those claims, once it hits $200,000, are paid by the insurer. In this case, Cigna would be the insurer. And then they also manage the network side as well. And the other components are budgeting for the claims. So the fixed cost, which we'll talk a little bit about, that is the administration and the risk insurance, is a very small component of the overall cost. You're budgeting for the claims, the expected claim side. You've already established a reserve, so the staff has been working on this for actually about 5 years now, setting aside money for reserves if there are claims fluctuations. And the total cost, the rates that are derived, come from the cost of administration, the cost of the risk insurance, the cost of the claims, and the reserves that you already have established. So long-term, there's several reasons why being self-funded makes sense. One is it's technically a lower cost way to fund health insurance. The fixed cost that you pay under a self-funded plan are less than you pay on a fully insured contract. There's state premium tax, there's margins that are in the cost or the expenses of a fully insured contract that don't exist in a self-funded contract. There's also additional revenue sources that you would receive that Cigna retains today. So the manufacturers of medications will provide dollars back to the plan sponsors. Today, Cigna is retaining those dollars, but as a self-funded plan, you're going to receive those rebates. That has a big advantage or help in your total net fixed cost, because you're going to receive, the expected is about $1.6 to $1.9 million. We've planned on about $1 million, so we've taken a very conservative approach on that, and that offsets costs to the plan. It also provides you with more flexibility when it comes to wellness strategies. Today, things that you would like to do, you cannot do under a fully insured arrangement. Because Cigna doesn't have the flexibility, nor does any other fully insured insurer allow you to do some of the strategies that we've deployed with other customers that would have meaningful impact for your employees and their families. When you become self-funded, you get to make those changes. You get to make formulary changes that are to the advantage of the employees. You also have built inside of the health plan wellness budget that also can add to additional dollars and incentives that are possible. The city's also looking at a clinic, has a clinic, and looking to expand it, and you can integrate that into the health plan as well. So today, you're well positioned. In fact, you're better positioned than any other client that we've had who is fully insured transitioning to self-funding, because you already have a reserve established. So the fixed cost side of the conversation, there was several pieces of conversation when we originally received the renewal. If you go from left to right, you'll see network access fee, medical plan administration, stop loss coverage, which starts at $200,000. There is a vision fee. There was also a high claimant that's currently in your population that Cigna wanted to set aside additional liability back to the city of $625,000. So everybody within the plan, employees, dependents, retirees, once they hit $200,000 in claims, that claim is offloaded to Cigna. For one individual, Cigna wanted to say, well, for everybody else, it's $200,000, but for this individual, it's $625,000. During the negotiation, we were able to get that removed, so it took about 3 weeks to get that done. We also were able to get reduction in cost as well on the administration, down to about $3.3 million, and then added a couple of protections to the city, not allowing Cigna to do a new laser in the next contract year, and putting a rate cap on the premium that they can apply in the renewal if you end up with some significant and severe high claimants. So the net effect of it is a reduction in risk, increased protections, and some improvement on the overall fixed cost. So the recommendation, so the renewal that came in on a fully insured basis was about a 6% increase. We're recommending that the city transition to self-funding with that 6% increase going forward. If you approve this 1/1/24, the only thing that you'll send Cigna are the administration fees and the stop-loss insurance. You won't be sending premium to them. You'll be retaining those premiums to help pay the costs of the plan. As a reminder, it's always good to have celebration. In the Triad area for 22, the city of High Point was #1 for its employer size. And we have a wellness coordinator, and we also provide strategy, and your team, HR, does a great job on thinking of ideas and trying to implement ways to improve the health of the employees. So this is a great award for the city in the Triad area, but nationally, you're in the top 100 in the country. So I think that says a whole lot about your organization and the types of things that your staff is trying to do to improve the health of your employees. So in summary, so we're recommending you transition to self-funding with that 6% increase in funding. It sets you up really well for the future. Remaining with Cigna during the transition is the simplest, cleanest way to make that move. You stay with the incumbent. They're a very competitive insurer and self-funded administrator. They're also, from a operational side, they're as good as anybody in this market from the operational side. And that doesn't really seem like a big deal until things go sideways, ID cards aren't issued, there's transition issues. So they're really good, and they make it smooth, they make it look easy, and they're a good partner for the city. There's no planned benefit changes in the transition. Again, this is the first time in this process in the last 8 to 10 years that you've been in a position to make that transition. And part of that is the reserving that's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years. For the future, and this is always important, the value of being self-funded is that you get to call your shots. As long as the money holds up, the burden of being self-funded is you have to be disciplined on your funding. So even when things are running well, small increases over time keep the plan in a very stable position. And from a long-term perspective, self-funding is, for a group your size, a $19 million plan is going to be the most cost-efficient way to fund your health insurance. Any questions for me?
Does the self-insured include situations like catastrophic claims where, so all that would still be paid for through the self-funding?
Yes. So you're buying insurance, it's called stop-loss insurance, and any claim that exceeds $200,000, that claim at that point in time is the responsibility of Cigna. So you're paying a premium. So if you have a $2 million claimant, the most that the city will be responsible for will be $200,000. And the other protections that are built into the contract is that the Cigna can't come back in the 25 renewal and say, well, that $2 million claimant, we're going to pass that liability back to the city because they have a no new laser contract for 25 that goes into the 25 renewal. And you also, they can only increase the premium so much. And there are significant claims that can occur. We've got a client that's got 2 siblings that have muscular dystrophy, and between the two, they're $2.5 million just for 2 youngsters.
Anybody else?
Well, I just have one comment, and
Sure.
I know Angela knows this, and I think I'm going to Tasha, but my husband owns the only TPA in High Point Benefit Plan and Services since 1977. And I know that he's offered to do some free consulting if you want him to just take a look at kind of the numbers or anything. He's a High Pointer and cares about the savings and stuff that we'll get, so if y'all want him to take a look, he's happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Angela, I would like to ask you a question as you
Yes,
step
sir.
back up from the shifting of the actual mechanics of how this is going to work. Just for one, the rebates that we will now be able to process back. How are you set with staff and what you need to make sure that that goes seamlessly, everything in place and ready to go?
In terms of the staffing, we do have a full team. When we transition to the self-funded model for 2024, at that point, we will transition to have a contract with a third-party vendor that will provide those primary and acute care services for all the city employees. So with us expanding the model that we currently have and expanding the services, we will have a full team in January to take care of those services. As it relates to what rebates we will receive and what incentives, it will be leaning on a Mark for advice and guidance in terms of how to best utilize those incentives and rebates.
Yeah, and mechanically, so the change is today, the city sends premiums to Cigna, and that's, other than maintaining eligibility, that's the extent of the responsibilities. The changes will be in multiple departments, so their finance will be involved in funding the claims on a weekly basis. They'll still pay monthly fees in administration and stop loss, so there's still going to be a monthly essential premium payment to Cigna. The weekly claims will come through, it'll be ACH, and that will be a finance responsibility. Any credits that come in, whether they're stop loss credits for high claimants or rebate credits that come in, they come in automatically on the monthly standing, and those are automatically provided as credits back to the city and go into the total bucket for total cost, and is reconciled at the end of the plan year, and it's part of the renewal process for 25. So as those come in, and rebates should start rolling in about midway through the year of 24. And so all of that is wrapped into the total health plan budget.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Angela.
Okay. Did you have any additional questions?
Yes, so as far as the benefits, the card they carry and everything, I mean, when they go to their service providers, what will change for the actual
We will
employee?
get a new card, so all employees will receive a new benefits card because again, we're changing the plan model, so it's things administratively behind the scenes. It has no impact that the employees will see. Their premiums won't change. The only difference is because we're on a different model, and when they do process the card, when you go to go in to see the doctor, they just have to get the right coding. So the coding will be changed, and we will issue new cards. Our Cigna will issue new cards.
They'll still say Cigna because technically they're still on the hook
Correct.
for all the.
Literally, when you talk about being self-funded or fully insured, it is truly behind the scenes.
Right.
Now, I will make one comment just that I've kind of seen sometimes happens is, it's always really great for the employer because it's a way to save money. But sometimes then the claims are looked at a little bit better, which is great because it's making sure. So sometimes the employee might hear or feel a little like, uh-oh, and I just want to make sure that, that goes really smoothly, that they understand that, sometimes it's just somebody being more aware of what's happening with those claims.
Yeah, so
That makes sense.
the higher level of claims detail really allows the city, from just a analysis perspective, to look at what is going on within the plan and to be able to make those changes and those strategy moves on the wellness side to help impact diabetic, hypertensives. Are there opportunities from a weight perspective? So it does afford a greater level of reporting, but no employer in this space uses the data specifically to an individual. It's only at a strategic and a group level is where the data is utilized.
Is that it?
Well, no, I'm a big fan of the plan. I mean, I've self-insured one of my companies, not for health, but for auto. And, it's a riskier way of going because you're not passing the risk to the insurance company, but it's always financially better in the long run if you can afford to do it, so.
Yeah, we've been working on this for a while.
Oh, we have, yeah, I know.
So, okay. So the request is for council to authorize the city manager to execute a 12-month contract with Cigna Healthcare for our healthcare coverage for city employees for the plan year, January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
And Mr. Chairman, just go ahead and open the meeting before any action is taken.
I did open the meeting.
Officially open the meeting with your quorum announced.
Oh, bring that, oh, I was going to announce that he had come in, so, okay. So for those that are listening online, Councilman Victor Jones has been able to join us. So now that we're in full open session and we have a quorum, make sure I got this one right. The presentation we just heard was item 2023-350. And if there are no further comments or questions, I'm going to make a motion for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you guys for going out of order. We appreciate it. Mark, you can hang around if you want to.
What a treat.
Next item is 2023-339. And Robbie Stone has a few agenda items. He's our Public Service Director.
Thank you, council members. So this is for our annual hydrants for our Water and Sewer Mains Division. We do purchase these hydrants on an as-needed basis to replace the existing hydrants within our water distribution system. Bids were received on June the 16th from AMP Utility Distribution, which they were the only bidder. We have looked at these hydrants and are very comfortable with them, and there's others surrounding that are using these as well. Funding is currently available. We are asking council to award this contract to AMP Utility Distribution in the amount of $106,250. And this contract will run from September 1, 23 to August 30th, 24, with the option to renew for 4 additional one-year periods if the pricing are agreeable to both parties.
Comments? No pictures? No.
Just the hydrant.
I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-348.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Robbie, on 2023-348.
All right, this is for to approve a contract with GEL Engineering of North Carolina for our annual air permitting and assistance at the Eastside Wastewater Treatment Plant. We do have a Title V air emissions permit at this plant, and part of that permit requires multiple different testings and testing throughout the year. And this is required through the EPA, so it is one of those unfunded mandates that we all enjoy. Funds are available in our current budget for this project. The Public Services Department recommends approval and asks the City Council to award this professional engineering services to GEL Engineering of North Carolina in the amount of $142,960.
Any comments or questions on this item?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I think you accidentally said on the last motion, item 348, on the previous motion, which would have been 339, just for clarification.
Thank you, and if that is true, please correct that in the minutes. Okay. Next item is 2023-349. Robbie?
So this is to request approval to enter into a contract with Alta Planning and Design to provide services for the preparation of an engineering report and engineering information document in accordance with the North Carolina DEQ Division of the Water Infrastructure. So this is really a part of the LASSI grant program that we have been awarded here. This is to propose to design and install the green infrastructure along 3/4 mile stretch of West Green Drive in the area along the southwest side of the downtown. Public Services solicited providers for this work. Proposals were received and staff reviewed this, staff from multiple different departments. Alta Planning and Design was deemed as the best qualified for this project. The final report is due to the city by October 15th, with submittal to DEQ, DWI no later than November 1st. This project is supported by a federal grant in the amount of $5 million. The costs associated with this project are not to exceed $45,000. So Public Services is recommending that council authorize the appropriate city officials to execute all the necessary documents for the contract with Alta Planning for this work for the amount not to exceed $45,000.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-349.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
But now, if there, I can say a comment.
Sure.
Okay, I just want to recognize, I'm so excited about that LASSA grant, it's so amazing, but I definitely want to recognize the hard work that the Southwest Renewal Foundation has done to help make this
Right.
reality, so thank you. So, just want to recognize that.
Sure. Anything else? Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. Next item, we have Kevin Rogers, our Fleet Services Director, to share a few things here. The first one is item 2023-351.
Thank you, sir. The Environmental Services Division is currently using Isuzu trucks with rear packer bodies with over 130,000 miles on them. They have reached the end of their useful life due to conditions and escalating repair costs. Amic Equipment Company has the Ford F-550 with Diamondback 8-yard body that will continue to meet their needs. The price of $141,230.93 is for the truck body operator training and delivery. Total for cost for two is $282,461.86. Delivery time is 365 days or less. Funds are available in the 23-24 budget, and Fleet recommends purchasing the trucks from Amic Equipment Company, and also in the recommendation declaring the old trucks as surplus and disposing through the online auction process.
Is there comments on this item? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve item 2023-351. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item is 2023-352. Kevin?
Thank you, sir. Again, this Environmental Services Division is currently using a 2014 International 7500 knuckle boom with loader that needs replacement due to overall condition. The new Freightliner M2106 with the PAC-MAC model KB20HJ, similar to other trucks they are using, will meet their needs. The price of $205,985 is for the truck training and delivery. Estimated delivery is 240 to 360 days. Funds are available in the 23-24 budget, and Fleet recommends purchasing the truck from Carolina Environmental Systems, and recommendations also include declaring the old truck as surplus and disposing through the online auction process.
So they're going to build, they're having to build this one? That's not, I mean, 360 days, they're going to.
Yeah, they actually, yes, it's in the process, yes.
In America?
Yes. Yes.
That's for great.
Great question. Anything else? I'll make a motion for approval of item 2023-352. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kevin. Next, we're going to hear from Ms. Kim Tor, our right-of-way coordinator, on a couple of items. The first one is an easement dedication, and it's item 2023-353.
Good evening.
Hello.
We would like City Council approval to approve an easement dedication to AT&T to relocate utilities to allow continued service after a portion of the right-of-way along Kersey Valley Road is closed and relocated to allow for the landfill expansion.
I think we're all familiar with this one. Any comments or questions?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item by Kim is going to be 2023-354.
City Council is requested to adopt a resolution accepting an offer of $10,000 from HS1 Properties LLC for the purchase of a city-owned property at 807 Wise Avenue through the upset bid procedure.
Any questions on this?
Which property is this one?
807 Wise Avenue.
Okay. What's the acreage on that? What was this, what lot was this?
What lot is it?
Yeah, what is this, I'm trying to think of, what is this close to? What are we getting rid of?
University comes right off of Wise. It's near Asheboro Street. It's near the corner of Asheboro and Wise,
Okay,
which is Wise off of University.
gotcha, all right.
Anything else? I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-354.
Second.
I'm sorry, was there not a map with that?
I've got the paper one, but I can look it up between now and
Okay.
Monday, not a problem.
Gotcha, sorry.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
All right,
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
thank you.
Next, we have our police chief, Travis Stroud, going to talk to us about a K-9. It's item 2023-356.
Good afternoon. Asking council to approve us to retire one of our K-9s and declare it surplus. We've had this K-9 since 2006. It's been in service for a long time. The handler is retiring at the end of August, and Carl has agreed to purchase the dog. We've already replaced the dog and have a new handler in place with budgeted funds.
Any comments or questions? I'll make a motion for approval on item 2023-356. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Travis.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
And
Hang on.
Let's make sure we give, K-9 Bruno a good bone, a good retirement present.
Oh, don't worry, he will. I'm sure Carl will, I have no doubts, so.
Chief, thanks for all the extra hours on Tuesday night for National Night Out.
Yeah, thank you guys too. It was our best one we've had yet,
Yeah, it was good.
in years.
Yeah, you
So
and the fire, everybody.
it was awesome.
Staff.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Next presentation is Adam Ward, our Information Technology Service Assistant Director, and it's item 2023-357.
Good afternoon. The item before you is our annual replacement of Motorola portable radios. This fiscal year, we're targeting the police department. The IT Services Department is recommending that the city purchase 70 portable radios and the supporting materials. Radios purchased will be replacing older radio equipment currently used by the police department. If possible, any of the units that will be replaced will be evaluated and cannibalized for parts. The city will use existing funds in the fiscal year 23-24 budget to purchase the radios from Motorola Solutions. Total purchase amount is $444,353. The purchase will occur under a purchasing contract. That'll be 725G, State of North Carolina. The IT Services Department recommends the approval of the purchase and that the appropriate party is authorized to execute all documents.
How many phones did you say?
That's 70 portable radios.
$63.47 a piece. It's a pretty expensive phone. I hope that does a lot.
We were able to actually obtain one more portable radio this year, and the cost was actually reduced by $500.
Wow, that's amazing. They certainly need them, do a great job. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-357. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Now, Adam will present the item number 2023-358.
All right, the item before you is our annual renewal of licensing for our Checkpoint firewalls. The city uses Checkpoint Next Generation firewalls at the edge of the network to protect information systems and other assets from cyber attack. The city also uses Checkpoint Edge devices at remote city sites to provide a secure connection back into the city's internal network via VPN. This renewal will allow the city to continue to use those appliances, gain access to updates, and obtain support when needed. The city will use existing funds from the fiscal year 23-24 budget to acquire the checkpoint licensing via SHI Incorporated. Purchase will occur under the Charlotte Technology Products and Related Services Purchasing Contract. The total amount of the purchase is $210,976.67. The IT department recommends the approval of the contract and that the appropriate city official be authorized to execute all documents.
Any comments? Motion to approve item 2023-358.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Adam, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Engineering Services Director Trevor Spencer on item 2023-359.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Engineering Services is recommending a contract award for the Washington Street Realignment Project to Baker Underground Incorporated. This is a general obligation bond project that was voter approved in November of 2019. The purpose of the project is safety-driven, as the roadway will be shifted away from the top of a failing embankment adjacent to the railroad. After the city's project, the railroad will follow with their own embankment stabilization project. And the city's project will include new travel lanes, sidewalk, curb and gutter, a pedestrian crossing, guardrail, and replacement of all water, sewer, and stormwater utilities. On July 12th, we received 6 qualified bids, of which Baker Underground was the low bidder. Once the project begins, it will have 240 calendar days, or approximately 8 months to complete. So we're recommending award this contract to Baker Underground in the amount of $2,991,540.
Owning underground, that's replacement while we're there, not relocating, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I missed it while making some notes, the time frame you mentioned?
8 months. So
Beginning.
we are currently expecting them to mobilize in late September.
Okay.
If you go through the corridor now, you will notice the city's electric department is actually working on overhead relocations. So all new poles have been set and line is being pulled, and then private utilities will follow. But some of that overhead relocation work will go on at the same time that the roadway project also begins.
Now, does that time frame include just what we've got to do, or is that for the state to come in and do their secondary stuff too?
That's just for the city project.
Just for
So
the city.
the railroad's timeline for coming back in with their own embankment stabilization is separate from ours.
Okay. Anything else? I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-359. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, Tyler Barrier, our Electric Utilities Director, will present 2023-360.
Good afternoon. The item I have today is for the purchase of some 225 kVA pad-mounted transformers. This is for 6 transformers. A unit, 225 kVA, would be about the size that would service Kevin's fleet building, so just for some scale. But this is to purchase 6. These are for not a specific project, but just for warehouse stock.
Any questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve. These are cheaper than the radios. That's good. Make a motion for, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion
Thank
carries. Thanks. Next item to round us out is Ms. Nina Wilson, our Community Development Director, and it's item 2023-366.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This item is for execution of a contract with Community Housing Solutions in the amount of $212,294 in gap financing to construct 3 affordable homes in the Cedro Affordable Housing Project. These properties are 508, 510, and 512 Rolling Green Drive, and they expect to begin construction upon execution of the contract and conveyance of the lot. Staff is requesting approval of execution of the contract, the resolution of conveyance, and that the appropriate city official and/or employee be authorized to execute all necessary documents.
Anybody?
Motion approved.
I got one question. Is this part of or separate from the relationship we have with Pinnacle?
This is separate.
Separate.
Separate from, yes, sir.
Anything else? I'll make a motion, or you want to go on and make it?
Restate the motion to approve.
All right, there's a motion, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. The next item is 2023-271.
This item is for execution of a contract with Habitat for Humanity of High Point, Archdale, and Trinity in the amount of $91,000. And this is for 2 affordable homes in the Southside community, 705 and 707 Tryon Avenue. And these funds represent just the city's contribution for construction and occupational training that goes along with the construction of these units. Construction is expected to begin later in the summer. And staff is requesting approval of the contract, resolution of conveyance of the lots, and that the appropriate city official and/or employee be executed to, be authorized to execute all necessary documents.
I just want to say before I make the favorable motion that we appreciate what you do. Affordable housing has been on the radar for a while, and it's hard to catch up to the curve, much less get in front of it. So thank you for what you're working on, and I'll make a motion to approve item 2023-271. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all very much.
I want to echo what he said. You're doing a really good job, and I'd also like to recognize the work of Habitat for Humanity. They do such a wonderful job, and it's just great to see the new homeowners being in a new home. It's just really wonderful in the area. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you all. We certainly appreciate it.
Anything else to come before finance today? Any other public service announcements? Anything we're missing? All right.
Comprehensive plan, roadshow today.
5:30.
Okay. Well, y'all want to hang around a while, or y'all
Oh, one
want me
other
to do?
thing.
There you go.
I'm feeling talkative now.
Yeah.
Make sure that everybody comes to the brand launching, Brian might be in
Saturday.
the background.
Saturday.
This Saturday at
4:30.
4:30. I got to
Downtown.
paint a little bit last time, but anyway, it's going to be very exciting for High Point, so everyone please come out.
All right. Then I will close the meeting and say we're adjourned, and thank you for everybody, and we'll talk to you.